Hey everybody, it's Juffles here, and I want to actually just put out more videos every once in a while. Me, not just the parodies, but I'm actually going to do a top 10 today. As everyone knows, as you see from a lot of the parodies, I do enjoy Disney World quite a bit. As you see on the wall back here, there's a Haunted Mansion poster, and if you go, there's the monorail. And another Haunted Mansion poster. Alright. This is actually my top 10 moments that have ever happened to me at Disney World. Most magical place on earth. You know, one of the greatest vacation spots. My favorite, to be sure. So we'll do a top 10 list here. Alright, number 10 is kind of embarrassing. And it was when it was my first trip to Disney World. I was about 5 or 6 years old. And it was my father's side of the family. My mother had not been in the picture, so it was just my dad, his sister, my cousins, and my grandparents. And it's very, you see this all the time around Disney World with the t-shirts. We had bright neon green t-shirts with our names on them. I just remember we had buddy system. That was paired up with my cousin Heather, and I don't really remember much from that trip. Very fuzzy. The only thing I really remember is going on the boat from the Transportation and Ticket Center to the Magic Kingdom. Yeah, so that's why it's not that high on my list. It's memorable, but not that memorable. All right. So number 9, my brother. He is a gigantic fan of the Haunted Mansion. He knows everything. He has pins, he has t-shirts, he has anything he can find on the Haunted Mansion, he will have. So, my number 9 is my first ride on the Haunted Mansion with my brother, in which we were both competent enough to understand what was going on. I had ridden with him, I believe. Actually, no, I haven't. He did not. He was too scared to go on the first time when we were really little, and then he went on another time, but he hadn't been the big Haunted Mansion nerd that he is now. But that was a good time. We geeked out with each other. We were pointing at stuff. Hey, look at that. All that kind of jazz, and I think he enjoyed it as much as I did. He and I still talk about the Haunted Mansion and how much we love it. Yeah. Alright, number 8 is something that happens quite often at the Whispering Canyon. I had eaten there with my little brother, my father, my stepmother, and I believe that was it. My older brother did not go on that trip, but we were eating at the Whispering Canyon. Great place. I love the meatloaf. It tastes great with the barbecue sauce that they have. But the waiter's name was Gino. Gino, he was very hilarious. He was hilarious in that kind of sarcastic way. He wasn't trying to be funny, but he was very good. Like, he was, belittling us, but in a playful way, not in an angry, mean type way. But the caveat is at the Whispering Canyon, if you ask for ketchup, they will bring you every bottle of ketchup that is in the restaurant, and then if someone else asks for ketchup, you have to bring all the ketchup that's at your table to the other person's table who's asking for the ketchup. My little brother, all he would eat is chicken nuggets and fish sticks, basically. So obviously, when you're eating chicken nuggets, what are you going to have with chicken nuggets? You're going to have ketchup. So of course my stepmom reluctantly asked for the ketchup, and we got the onslaught of people running to our table with bottles of ketchup, and it was quite hilarious. I believe we had pictures. I do not know where they are, however. Anyway, yeah, that was a very interesting and yet very fun memory. Number 7 was from my most recent trip. You can see some of the videos from my most recent trip on the channel. But you can't see this moment. This moment was Claudia, the cast member. I believe she was from Singapore. she was from some eastern country, and she worked at Disney Quest, and she was working the Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blaster or something like that. It was a Buzz Lightyear ride where you sit in the car and you shoot the cannonballs. But she was so entertaining. She would make bird noises. She would, she would make the time that you were waiting, which wasn't long at all, very entertaining. And she would even make commentary while during the ride. So it was very, very interesting. And one of my friends was very enthralled by her. So yeah, that was a good one. Number 6. This one at the time wasn't that memorable, but looking back it is, because I have a fascination now with Washington Irving's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and I found the Headless Horseman to be a great villain. Villain being, kind of not the right word, because everyone thinks it was Bron Baker, but it was, or Bones or whatever. The first time at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, when the Headless Horseman comes riding out, and there's the cast members are telling you to get off the street because of the horse, but something's going on, because they're really diligent in trying to get you off the street. And then when he rides through, there's nothing behind him and there's nothing in front of him, and it's just dark. It's just completely, you get immersed in that situation, and I loved it. It was, and then you hear the clomping of the hooves on the pavement, and just going around all the way from Frontierland all the way through Main Street, USA. It was very, very chilling. Alright, number 5 is a moment that it was only like a second, but it made me smile wide, and it was actually, I have a picture of it. I might just put it in right here. It is walking through downtown Disney in my most recent trip, and I was wearing an Orange Iguanas t-shirt from the Legends of the Hidden Temple. If you don't know what that is, it's a game show in the 90s. It was on Nickelodeon. It was one of my favorite shows because they'd replayed it on the Nick Games and Sports Network, which I used to get as a child. But as I was walking, we were walking through downtown Disney. We were crossing the bridge, kind of connecting the west side to the east side. We were crossing that bridge, and then there was another gentleman. He was wearing a Purple Parrots t-shirt. So obviously we had to stop. We had to take pictures, and it was interesting. I had a smile on my face for the rest of the day. I was telling my dad all about it the next day, and it was very fun. Number 4 is kind of embarrassing. On my first trip with my mother's side of the family, I went on a trip with my mother, my grandmother, and my uncle, and of course my older brother. So at that point, I was very, very afraid of thrill rides, roller coasters, anything that was big, you name it. And I refused to go on Tower of Terror. However, my grandmother really wanted to go on Tower of Terror, but she couldn't because she had to stay back with myself and my brother. So every once in a while it comes back up, and I get teased about it, saying, "Oh, you caused her not to go on the Tower of Terror. You're a chicken." Oh well, I go on it now, and it's funny to get made fun of for it every once in a while. Number 3 also came from the most recent trip. It was the Main Street Electrical Parade. I actually loved the music to the Main Street Electrical Parade. I had never seen it before, and right when those first notes hit, I got the chills. It was, the doo 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 doo, and like the hairs on my neck stood up, and I was giddy. Now, it does last a little while, because the version that I listened to, that I put on my iPod and all that kind of stuff, was a little over 11 minutes. However, the parade is well almost a half hour. So, like, the version I was used to, I was like, wondering, oh, when's it gonna end, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I kind of do prefer the Main Street Electrical Parade to Spectre Magic. It is a little bit of an unpopular opinion. It's only the music, because I grew up, we would be in the car, and my mom would put on like a CD or something like that. She would put on the Main Street Electrical Parade, and it just, to this day, sends chills down my spine. Number 2 is actually kind of a regional thing. When I was down, not on my latest trip, but I know it was 2008, because we were standing at the bus stop, I believe it's at the Magic Kingdom, going back to our resort hotel. We were at Pop Century, but at that point, the Philadelphia Phillies, my favorite baseball team, were trying to chase down the New York Mets, who were in first. I think they were tied, or that it was actually, they were a couple of games either up or they were tied during the trip. And on the last day of the trip, we went to Orlando International Airport, MCO, to go back home. But however, the Phillies game was starting at, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 3. It was a Sunday game, I believe, because they were wearing their cream-colored uniforms. And as we were in the air, we actually got complimentary first class from AirTran, I believe, or Spirit Airlines, one of the two. So we actually got to listen to XM radio and got to listen to the Phillies game as we were in the air. I consider this a Disney moment because it was coming home from Disney. However, we were maybe about 15 minutes from landing, and it was against the Nationals, and the Nationals player had hit the ground ball to Jimmy Rollins, which was the double play to Chase Utley to Ryan Howard that put the Phillies in the playoffs, and then later that year the Phillies won the World Series. And it was very memorable because everyone on the plane was, celebrating because they were all going to Philly. There was a couple of guys who were, who I'm pretty sure I saw during the trip, wearing all their Phillies gear, high-fiving everybody. It was a very, very fun time for me. And however, number 1, I actually had the pleasure of driving the Jungle Cruise boat on one of the cruises, because the cast member had actually asked, I believe his name was Roger, he had asked, does anybody want to drive the boat? And nobody really raised their hand, and I put my hand up, and he said, all right, you can drive the boat, and he let me drive the boat through the temple. I mean, I know I've seen this done before, but to have it happen to me, it's kind of like magical, of course. And cast members don't make any jokes during the temple or anything. I guess that's a good place to actually let someone drive the boat so that there isn't any jokes. Although driving the boat and making the jokes probably would be another funny idea. But yes, that was one of my favorite moments. I'm sure there's pictures of that too. I still don't know where they are. Anyway, thank you for listening to Juffles' Top 10 Disney Moments, and hopefully I'll see you next week.